Jay was driving his Model 3 with autopilot engaged in Dublin, Ohio, when he came to a complete stop at a red light after exiting the highway. A woman coming over the hill didn't notice the light and smashed into Jay's Tesla at about 70 miles per hour. Jay says that autopilot did alert him before the impact, but there was nothing he or autopilot could do to prevent it. The vehicles rolled a short distance after the impact before coming to a complete stop again. Even though none of the Tesla's airbags went off, both Jay and his passenger were alright. Jay jumped out to help the woman out of her car when he noticed she was trapped in her vehicle's airbags. She was okay, and with his help, she managed to get out of her car. The Tesla was leaking an unknown fluid, and the vehicle went into emergency mode, which ended with it shutting down. Tesla called Jay's phone 2 minutes later, but at the time, he was busy talking to the woman and the police. Both cars were completely totaled and had to be hauled away on tow trucks. Even though they both were customers of the same insurance company, there was a battle of almost 2 months before the company paid out. Jay's insurance agent told him that having the video as evidence that he was completely stopped was very helpful for his claim. He had a stealth Model 3 performance, and unfortunately the insurance company didn't know how to value it correctly. The entire car ended up being replaced, but not until Jay fought for them to replace his full paint protection car wrap, which took about 2 months to approve. This situation shows just how important it is to have the right insurance coverage. That's why we've teamed up with Way as our sponsor. With the Way app, you can benchmark your car insurance against over 50 different insurance companies. Use the code WHAMBAM when applying for a free insurance quote, and you'll get a $10 voucher to use in the app for insurance, parking, or a car wash. Thanks to Way for supporting the channel. John was driving his Model 3 in Falls Church, Virginia, just outside of DC, when a Ford driver in front of him slammed on the brakes. John managed to react in time, but the Honda behind him wasn't so skilled. The force of the impact pushed John's Tesla into the Ford, sandwiching him between the two vehicles. Hashtag Honda Bump. Before we continue, take a look at this freeze frame. That's a pretty crappy business slogan. An insurance claim was filed and police were notified. The Honda driver took full responsibility. John got a repair estimate the day after the incident for $3,000, but 1 day later, the body shop contacted him with a new estimate of $7,000. The next day, he got yet another estimate for $20,000. The 4th day after the accident, they contacted him again to let him know the estimate now totaled $24,000. At that point, the vehicle was considered a total loss. We speculate that the chassis must have been bent, because from the outside, the damage doesn't look that bad. What's your theory? Share it in the comments. Sam was driving his Model X in Austin, Texas, when a blue Nissan Sentra merged onto the highway. The Nissan then rear-ended an SUV in front of him, which was slowing down for traffic up ahead. Maybe the Nissan driver was checking his blind spot as he was changing lanes and was busy looking behind rather than ahead? Okay, that's enough rear-end accidents. Let's cheer things up a bit with some dancing. For this dance, we have to slow down the music a bit. There we go, perfect. Jean-Guy had parked his Tesla in his own parking spot in a garage in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. One morning, he found that Sentry Mode had recorded an event. Here's what he found when he played back the video. His parking neighbor apparently just learned what Tesla Sentry Mode is and decided to try it out. Jean-Guy adds that this gentleman is around 80 years old, but he's still young at heart. Hunter from Alice Springs in the Northern Territory of Australia sent us video clips of 2 incidents that happened on the same street. In the first clip, he was leaving a parking lot after finishing some shopping. At a T intersection, he came across this twin cab driver who was on his phone. Luckily, they both managed to stop in time and an accident was avoided. In the next video, he didn't have as much luck. Hunter had parked his Model 3 on the very same street as in the last incident, in front of his colleague's Hyundai. That's when a distracted driver drifted for over 6 seconds before slamming into the Hyundai without even trying to slow down. This pushed the Hyundai into the Tesla. Some firefighters were right behind the offender and witnessed the whole thing. Only about a month earlier, Hunter had promised the fire department that he would show them the Tesla battery cutoff procedure, since he was one of the first in his town to own a Tesla. This wasn't exactly the situation he had in mind. Fortunately, the Tesla was repairable at a cost of 20,000 Australian dollars, since the offending driver had comprehensive insurance. It had to be shipped 1,500 kilometers to a repair center in Adelaide, South Australia, and it's expected to take 8 to 12 weeks to repair. Unfortunately, the Hyundai was totaled, as its damages were estimated at over 17,000 Australian dollars, more than the value of the vehicle. The offending driver claimed that the accident was caused by a mechanical failure. However, after the police reviewed the Tesla footage and surrounding street cam footage, it was determined that the accident was caused by the driver being distracted by her phone. In this enhanced still image taken from the rear view camera, we can actually see her holding the phone in her hand above the steering wheel. Hunter adds that he wants to see the availability of parts and service from Tesla improve as Elon has promised. The main reason his repairs will take so long is because of how long the replacement parts will take to arrive from Tesla. He'd also like to see more charging infrastructure in Australia, as the number of Teslas in Australia is now 10 times what it was when he purchased his Model 3 only a year ago. This clip's submitter had parked his Model Y at a hiking trail parking area in Golden, Colorado. When he returned to his car, he found glass shattered all over the ground and this Sentry mode recording. He left a note with his phone number on the victim's vehicle, letting them know that his Tesla had captured footage of the break-in. The police contacted him later to request the video, but he doesn't know if they ever caught the perpetrator. Todd and his wife were staying at Wee-Casa Tiny House Resort in Lyons, Colorado. One morning, they discovered their Model 3 had captured this Sentry mode recording. At first, they were a little confused about what was going on, but then they realized that this guy was just putting on a little dance routine. Rick was driving his Model Y out of South Beloit, Illinois when he crossed the border into Wisconsin. Road conditions were poor, with rain followed by snow. This caused the roads to be extra slippery. When the road ahead of him curved, this Ford Fusion didn't, and it ended up crashing into a snowbank. Till was driving his Model 3 in a mountain pass in Switzerland when he encountered this fox family. One baby fox went off in a different direction from the others. In the left repeater camera, we can see that the parent closely watched where the baby went, so hopefully they were able to reunite quickly after Till had passed. Isaac was driving his Model 3 on US Route 101 in California. His cruise control was set to 70 miles per hour when he heard a car honking behind him. In his rearview mirror, he could see that the car was approaching fast. Startled, he thought the other driver was going to sideswipe him. Instead, the Honda barely missed him at speeds around 110 miles per hour. Isaac knew that at those speeds, the driver was going to injure someone or cause an accident. He continued driving, and 5 miles down the highway, the worst happened. Just as he suspected, the Honda had crashed. Isaac thinks that the car must have been going fast enough to roll over in the accident. His Teslacam captured the accident scene as he drove by. Cars were stopped on both sides of the highway, and he noticed a man going back and forth across the highway. The man was screaming that someone was chasing him and that they were trying to shoot him, and that he wanted lots of witnesses around for his own safety. Suspecting he may have been under the influence of drugs, Isaac pulled out his phone to capture an audio recording. Let's listen in.
There need to be witnesses here. I'm here for people trying to shoot me. Please, stop!
He contacted the California Highway Patrol out of San Luis Obispo and sent them the video. Leo was driving his Model 3 in Taipei, Taiwan at about 2 a.m. He confesses that he was driving a little over the speed limit on the freeway. He thought he'd screwed up when he saw the warning lights of a patrol car in front of him. That's when he saw a vehicle driving in the opposite direction toward him. He slowed down immediately and kept a safe distance to let it pass, turning on his warning lights to notify other drivers. Later that day, he heard news that the female driver was mentally unstable. Law enforcement managed to stop her about 5 kilometers after she passed Leo. This is our first video from Poland. It's from Adam, who was driving his Model 3 when a Volkswagen driver decided to pull this move. On the side camera, we can see that the Tesla's mirror smashed the VW's mirror to pieces. The Tesla sustained damages to its mirror housing, along with body damage around the rear wheel. This video's submitter was driving his Model Y down Highway 401 near Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. He was driving along in the left lane when ice buildup from a trailer came flying into his path. He had to brake in order to avoid it hitting him directly in the windshield. We all remember what happens to unsinkable ships that hit icebergs, but we have to wonder how autopilot handles flying icebergs. On that note, it's time to wrap up this week's episode. See you all next Sunday.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Cybertruck? My friends, I'll drive diesel, I must make amends.